before we jump into a little bit more on these tracks,
Yeah.
we actually have a very important question that has come in.
Okay, who's out there?
Michael has asked the question.
What does Mike want to know?
He says, I have transitioned out, but trying to balance purpose and financial stability in a rural area is difficult. Any ideas to help with this?
He says purpose. Define his purpose, right?
Balance purpose and financial stability.
Yeah, so here's a classic example of a veteran. Now, very few times will you hear somebody like that say his purpose. That's a man who has stopped to consider who he is. So he's understanding the concept. And Mike, you're out there. I want to talk to you directly because your question transcends services. I don't know what service you came from, but I assume that you really had to ask yourself who I really am. So your purpose, you're asking a question that is very deep. And how do you balance that with financial stability? I will tell you that first, if you know already who you are, the only question that should be lingering in your mind is, how do I monetize what I do? You can monetize it through profit means or non-profit means. Don't be too shy about making money, because making money sometimes produces the opportunity to help others. And your challenge in a rural area is that there's a limitation for what options you have. So one of the advices that I would give you is to either consider starting a nonprofit. Because when I hear you say that you're struggling with purpose, I assume that you have a focus. You want to have a purpose to something that you want to do, that you have been called to do. And how do you monetize that? I recommend that you start a nonprofit, and that's essentially under our employment or entrepreneurship track. Believe it or not, starting a nonprofit is not that difficult. The application process can be long, but you can start a nonprofit today. You can do it through your local county, or you can do it online. And again, another shout out for another company, LegalZoom.com is one of them, but you can Google any place that can do it online. It'll cost you a little bit. The application process will be long, but you can start operating as a nonprofit right now. What you won't have is a certification from the IRS that allows you to actually continue to operate as a nonprofit. If the IRS rejects your application, then you're going to have to pay taxes on the money you collected. But if you know your purpose and you can write it down as a mission statement, then you can develop a nonprofit around it. Because there'll be people out there who will want to support you and fund the purpose that you're trying to follow. Now, that's one path. If what you mean by purpose is that you want to be a professional in a certain track. So again, Mike, I'm assuming that's what you want to do, but let me talk to the other side of the folks out there, the other Mikes, the ones that are saying, no, that's not the purpose I mean, Cesar. I'm talking about, how do I go after what I know I can do as a professional in a rural area with financial constraints? So to me, that says that you have to find out in your area all of the business opportunities that are available to you, whether it is as a professional working there in the employment track or as an entrepreneur. And when I talk about these sub-tracks, I'll tell you what I mean by entrepreneur or consultant. But you define your purpose and you seek the financial means to that purpose by analyzing, assessing, and then executing courses of action. I'll be happy to help you out on that front, but I think that it's obvious that you already know who you are, or if not, you're close to figuring that out based on what you're telling me. I'd like to hear your comments back about what I said. If you don't agree, call me out on it. If you agree, let us know, okay? If you don't have any more questions, I'll move on to the sub-track
Please
pieces.
do.
All right, so I talked about the 6 sub-tracks, right? You have 6 sub-tracks. Most people go towards employment. And when you go towards employment, this is why we have a 5-day, week-long seminar that you can sign up with us. It's going to be in March. It's going to be in DC. We have a team that's going to be able to sign up with us. Abe, how can people sign up through our social media?
So the best place to look for this information is we recommend going to the Facebook page. If you go to Facebook and you look for MVT Playbook, that is a great place to go. So please visit MVT Playbook on Facebook. Also, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. As we get closer and closer, Caesar, we will announce more. So each episode, we will have that information as we get closer to
And
that
if
date.
you want to sign up on LinkedIn, on my LinkedIn profile, Caesar Nader on LinkedIn, you can sign up to there. We'll find a way to get you to the seminar. But there's a week-long process where we take you to each of the tracks. Again, there's 6 tracks. We'll do a track in each day, and then we'll start to go through the sub-tracks. Under the employment track, let me cover that because that's where most people find themselves steering towards. So if you're going to go for employment, you want to get a job, you got to ask yourself the question, do you want to work for the government in the public sector? Do you want to work for corporate America in the private sector? Do you want to be a government contractor? Do you want to work for nonprofit? And in the government sector, I talk about local as well. All those require different resumes. You don't submit a resume for a government job the same way you would for corporate America. USAA Jobs is where we submit resumes for jobs for the government.
Yep.
You know, you got your 10-point preference. You have to know what forms you have to submit for that. And the resume is long. They want to know everything you've done, how many doorbells you rang, and when did you do it, and how many Halloweens did you attend, and what costumes you wore. To give you a funny analogy, if you send that to corporate America, they're gonna just throw your resume on the left pile. So that's critical. If you want to go for a local job, firefighter, police, emergency management, JROTC, you really have to connect with that local community so they can really see you and know you, not just the paper that you're sending in. And if you're a government contractor, we look for skills that are different than what you would find in the regular resume. Do you have a clearance? How long is it valid for? Do you have CISSP? Do you have PMP certification? Do you have Security Network Plus? Some of those certifications I'm not truly familiar with, but I know that those are some of the things that some companies look for. We in X-Scope Solutions, we look for intelligence, counterintelligence, cybersecurity, training and education. So those are different resumes that are tailored to that industry. So think about that. We just covered one of the 6 sub-tracks that require you to mold your resume to that industry. Put that aside. What's the next thing people want to be? They want to do entrepreneurship. They say, well, I want to be an entrepreneur. What does that mean? Do you want to be a consultant? Do you want to be an investor? Do you want to be a small business owner? Or do you want to be a franchisee? I only give you the 4 categories because everything else can fall into those. But you have to know, if you want to be a consultant, do you understand 1099? Paying your own taxes versus W-2, being an employee. Do you understand what it's going to cost you to go out there and beat the pavement, as they say, knock on doors and get those customers? Small business ownership. Are you trying to be a mom and pop shop? Do you want to be a government contractor? Do you know the categories of set-asides for small businesses? Woman-owned, veteran-owned, disabled veteran-owned, 8A, HubZone. All of them consider small businesses. So understanding how to do that, you can go to the SBA website, sba.gov, and look into how to become an entrepreneur. There's great programs under the OBBD, which is one of the branches of SBA that do nothing but support veterans in business, and they help veterans transition to try to be business owners through the Boost to Business program. That's nationwide. Again, track 2, we have 4 sub-tracks. Then you got education. Let's say you want to go back to school. Do you want to do traditional, vocational, technical, or certification? Depends on, remember, when did you want to get out, who you are, now how much time do you have to get out, decide on your education track, and do you want to complete your degree? Do you want to have a vocational degree? Do you want to have a technical degree, or do you want to have certifications that allow you to go right into work by being certified in specific things? Then you get into the international track. This is one of the least explored tracks out there. You know that there's countries that would love to have an American just come to their company and be part of the workforce. I'm telling you this. the world loves America. And I mean it in the most sincere and positive way. We bring something great. Our innovation, our attitude, our flavor. I know because I grew up in Ecuador. And I remember seeing my cousin coming out of the plane. It just felt like a celebrity. And I mean that in the most humble way because other countries have a lot of things to give back to us. And having the humbleness as an American to go join their workforce is an amazing, amazing compliment. So don't underestimate your skills to go get a job in the international market. Now there's 4 subtracks there too. You can work for a global company. If you're not comfortable just going to work straight on to another country, a global company that has its headquarters here, like IBM, and you go work overseas. I had a great friend of mine who went to work in, I believe it was Abu Dhabi, and he got a job with IBM. They paid all his expenses, apartment, car, flew his wife in twice a year, and he made a bundle of money. But you can work for a global company, American company overseas, or you can work for a foreign company in that country who wants to have your business acumen, your technical expertise, or just your ideas, your innovation, your personality. How do you apply for those jobs? Again, that's part of the seminar that we talk about. Or you can also become an independent worker. A lot of people who decide that they just want to go overseas, another good friend of mine, sold everything he had, moved to Colombia, and started teaching English. Go figure, right? Everybody wants to learn English. Believe it or not, there's a lot of folks out there that love America and they want to speak English. So he got a job teaching English. That was on his own, independent. Just he moved there and he got a job. Or you can also find a job working at an American embassy. You can be the spouse of a foreign-born person and you decide that you're going to move to Germany with her or him, and you can go apply to the embassy for some jobs. Very few of us explore that track because it seems like such a difficult process, such a far-fetched idea. But there's a lot of jobs for you guys out there, and they love the compliment that you're American and you're a veteran. The last 2 tracks, retirement. Maybe you have saved enough money in your time that you simply don't want to have to get a job. Again, I speak from experience. I knew another veteran who had saved enough money, then when he retired, he decided that he was just going to take a sabbatical for a year and then take some time to do some things on his own. I learned a lot about that track because I figured when you want to just coast and retire, you can still do good things. You can work for the local church. There's your sub-track. You can be a coach at a local team. Maybe you have kids and you want to just be a coach. JROTC, another good form of coaching. That's a great program that you can apply as a veteran and you get hired at half of your salary when you go into the program. It might have changed, so don't quote me on that. Don't start sending me nasty texts or emails. But that's another sub-track. You can also do you can be a board of advisors. You can be on a board of advisors of a small company, of your local community. Or you can also be a writer. If you want to write a book, this is your time to do it. And you didn't explore that because you haven't talked about when. Remember in the when phase, we talk about your finances as part of that complement of 4 quadrants that you need to accomplish. If you know you have the financial means and you now decide you want to write the book, do so. I got great friends on LinkedIn who have become coaches, life coaches, mentors, writers. They've written books on some of their life experiences. Great friend of mine, Graham Plaster, wrote a great book about some of his experiences, and it had tremendous success. He now runs the TIC, the Intelligence Community Group on LinkedIn. Again, I'm speaking to you from experience, and I know that folks are out there are questioning whether what I'm telling them is facts when people have done it. I can give you a name and a face to each of the things that I've told you they've done. Finally, the Wounded Warrior track. That's a special track that we reserve for nothing but the wounded warriors of our military services to make sure that we show them all the opportunities they have. So I've gone through the sub-tracks. I've talked to you about the what. You see, in the end, it's not so simple. You can go out there and just start with what and fall on your face. And you can get a job, and a job, and a job. Or you can do this right, take the time, figure out when, then who, then under what, you select your track, select your subtrack, and then you have a career, or you have a lifestyle, or you understand what makes you happy. Because if you wake up knowing that what you're doing makes sense, that has a purpose, like Mike asked us earlier, how do I do what has purpose? Then you'll know that what you do has meaning and the money will come. I assure you that that whole priorities of job satisfaction, location, or job satisfaction, location, or
Salary.
salary, thank you, the one that I wasn't thinking about, or salary will guide your process into what you ultimately decide to do. And prioritizing that will help you with that career rather than the job.